Is it too late for me? Because the brands aren't going to tell you. If you say, hey, my rate is $500 and they were willing to pay you $5,000, if you want to make money from content and social media in 2025, you're going to want to watch this. Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Sierra and I am a mom and full-time content creator and influencer. I have been a full-time influencer for about 6 years now, maybe a little bit more, 7 years? Time flies. I'm actually a law school graduate, but I never went to practice law because I was pregnant with my daughter when I graduated. And so I thought, you know what? I'm gonna do my articling next year. And since I have this time, why don't I focus on content? It was an area that I was super interested in. I've actually been creating videos and loving editing videos since I was in high school. So 15, 16 years, I've loved video. So basically content creation before it was called content creation. And when I was pregnant, I really focused on Instagram and YouTube because TikTok was not a thing yet. And just to give you some context, I work on paid partnerships with brands like Porsche, Samsung, Tim Hortons, Sephora, and many, many more. All you have to do is go to my TikTok and Instagram and you see the proof that I have worked with brands on paid partnerships. Why I believe this is important to share is because I see so many people out there, so many universities and schools that are sharing how to become an influencer and how to work with brands. And the people teaching have never actually done it, whether it's on the brand side or the influencer side. So I really believe that if you really want to know how this world works and you want to be successful, you need to learn from people who have had success in the area. My point being, I know what I'm talking about because I have the real life experience and I'm gonna share it with you. When I first got started in this space, I truly had no idea what I was doing. If you've watched some of my other videos around this subject before, you've probably heard a bit of this story, but when I got started, there was nothing out there. There was nobody teaching anybody how to become an influencer. There was no one sharing what you should be charging, what rates you should charge these brands. There was no one who had any reliable information or really any information at all. So when I got started, I really learned by trial and error. I started with my rates super low, charging like $100 to $250 for a post, and I have made as much as $10,000. I shouldn't say as much as, I've made $10,000 from a single TikTok because I've worked my way up, I've been able to prove myself in the industry, and now there are certain things that you're able to charge for that did not exist before, like brand usage and whitelisting. My point of sharing all of this is that I have the real life experience, but I can help you get to where I am because I literally had no idea what I was doing and I really had to figure it out on my own. And so I vowed to myself that I would help others accelerate their success because I had no idea what I was doing. There was no one who was helpful. Even there were actually some successful influencers that I reached out to that I kind of knew, and no one really gave any information, which in a way is understandable because I guess it's kind of a competitive industry. But in saying that, I also believe there's room for everyone because what is so beautiful about this space is that there is room for everyone and everyone's unique story and everyone's unique life, because that is really what we're sharing, and almost what we're making money off of is sharing our lives. For example, I love shopping at Sephora. I did a paid partnership with Sephora. So my audience often will ask what mascara do you use? What SPF do you recommend? What foundation are you using? What concealer? So I share that stuff organically, and eventually it turned into a paid partnership. All that to say, hopefully that proves to you that I know what I'm talking about and that I have a lot of valuable information to share with you. Now, I want to answer a very common question right off the bat here. Is it too late for me? Am I too late to start? The answer is no, you are not too late. 2025 is a great time to start in this space, to start making money, because there are always new trends, there are always new platforms, there are always new things happening in this space that you can get in, and you can get in now. There are also always people who are coming in and people who are leaving. So just because there are X amount of users now on TikTok, it doesn't mean that it is a little more difficult, but it doesn't mean it's not possible for you to find success there. I will tell you that when I first got started on TikTok, it was during the pandemic. I posted like 4 to 5 times per day. When I got started, it was so much easier to go viral because there were less people creating on there. Now there are so many more. And yes, TikTok is still alive and well because the ban lasted, what was it, 7 hours or something ridiculous? Anyways, it is not too late to get started. I even remember when I was really getting started in 2018, 2019, I could have thought to myself, it's too late for me, there's no hope for me, and now I've been able to go on to make over $100,000 a year. That's insane. That's incredible. I'm trying to hype myself up because sometimes I get, down on myself, hard on myself. But the demand is really there to work with new faces, new people, new content creators. Brands love to see fresh faces, fresh ideas, new content. So it is not too late for you. You have to get that out of the way first. It is not too late. Start today, which is why you're here. Now, one of the number one things that you need to do, and this can change, but I always tell people, you need to figure out your niche. You've probably heard this before. It can change. I think that's important to share too. So many people make the mistake of being like, well, I love to share everything. I love cooking. I love makeup. I love fashion. Sometimes it does take some trial and error to see what sticks, but you need to narrow down your niche. And I will say, when you're getting started, because you could look at my content and be like, you're sharing everything from bikinis to Disney. Like, what are you talking about? But I have already kind of established myself, so I'm able to get kind of like, branching out here and there. When I first got started, I was very specifically sharing pageant content. I competed at Miss Universe, so that's a whole other thing. But if you go back not even that far in my YouTube career, pageant was the main focus. That was my main niche. I was sharing my experience going to Miss Universe, and it slowly shifted. So for me, it went from pageants. Then I was pregnant with my daughter, so then I was sharing my pregnancy, and that opened the doors to working with brands. So I started working with baby brands, nursing brands, maternity brands. That's how I got started. So I did not start with Sephora, with Samsung, with Porsche. I did not start with those people. I started with maternity, newborn, baby brands. So that was my niche, from pageants into new motherhood and slowly into lifestyle. I do believe there are people who can just like dive into lifestyle. We see creators who have like millions of followers. They kind of had like that overnight success, or so it seems, and they just like dive into anything lifestyle. But if you want to gain a following faster, I would say figure out your niche. Is it golf? Is it cooking? Is it baking? Is it motherhood? Is it newborn life, like new motherhood, like you're a newborn mom? Are you pregnant? Are you a student? Really figure out kind of what is happening in your world that also makes it easier for you to share content. Like, what do you love talking about? What do you love sharing? Are you a Harry Potter fan? Do you love sharing things about Harry Potter? Disney, I'm like obsessed with Disney, so you'll see a ton of Disney travel in my social media, and I'm incorporating it even more because I've noticed my audience actually loves to see it. So really think about this and think about what people ask you about. Are they asking you, hey, I just saw that you went to Universal Studios, like what was the best ride? What do you recommend like doing first? What time should we get there? What things are you talking about a lot? What are you sharing a lot of? What do you consume a lot? Like, do you watch a lot of videos on fashion, beauty hacks? I think you catch my drift. So defining your niche is super, super important, especially when you're getting started. Do not overlook this, and do not go crazy with like a million different videos. You can experiment if you want, but I do want you to know that a lot of people get started in a certain area first. If it helps, why don't you write down 5 to 6 keywords or things or sentences that come to mind when thinking about what kind of content you want to share. It could be a simple word like cakes, cupcakes, newborn must-haves, best concealer, most trendy running shoe, most comfortable running shoe, best toothbrush, worst toothpaste. I think you get where I'm going here, or you're picking up what I'm putting down. You know what I'm trying to say. Write down the things that come to mind when it comes to types of content or things that you want to share. This is going to help you narrow down your niche. Let me know if you have questions on that topic down below, and I will try to address them the best that I can. Maybe in the next video, we can talk specifically about niche and what that means and what brands are paying, like what are the biggest paying brands in specific niches. Ask me down below if you have specific questions, and we'll dive deeper into that. The next thing that you're going to do to start getting paid by brands in 2025 is you are going to create high quality, compelling content. You've got to catch the attention of these brands, and it's not going to come just by tagging them and just by emailing them and just by DMing them. You need to create content that they want to share, that they want to be involved in. If they go to your Instagram, your TikTok, your YouTube, you want to have high quality content waiting for them to look at. This is basically your resume. Good lighting, good clean transitions, nice audios, trending audios maybe, and having things look even sometimes aesthetic. I see people sharing like real life and it's like all messy and everything, and I totally totally get it. I mean, our house looks like a tornado tore through it sometimes as well. But the most viral TikToks and the most viral reels that you will see when it comes to aesthetic spaces are the organizing ones and like a before and after of like cleaning up a space. People love to see organized, clean spaces. You can also share the reality because that is a part of like people relating to you, but really think about what is happening in the video. If it's aesthetically pleasing, it doesn't always have to be like, I get it, just trying to give some tips of like what people engage with. Good lighting though is going to be your number one. Having good natural lighting is going to be one of the best things that you can do for your content. Once again, let me know if you have specific questions on that. I just want to give you some like quick fiery tips to get started. Tip number 3 to get paid by brands in 2025 is to start small and tag brands. Do not overwhelm yourself with like, oh my gosh, I need to create like 2 YouTube videos a week and 3 reels and 5 TikToks. Just start by doing one thing a day. Maybe it's 1 set of stories, it's 1 TikTok. If there is an applicable brand to tag, Lululemon, Sephora, Canon, tag them. You never know. And you know what? One of the best ways too is tagging small local businesses. Depending what city you live in, depending where you are, local and small businesses love to reshare your content. Not only will it expose you to new sets of eyes, a whole new audience, it also creates an opportunity to potentially work with that brand or that store or that local business, even if it's an exchange partnership. Exchange and gifted partnerships can turn into paid partnerships. So don't be afraid to say yes to those. I see people who are like, I don't say yes to gifted partnerships, I only get paid. I'm like, I cannot tell you how many times I've done a gifted or exchange partnership and it has turned into a paid partnership. I've gone into stores organically tagged. It eventually ends up being thousands of dollars in my bank. So don't listen to those people. The next 2 tips I'm not going to dive too deep into because I don't want to overwhelm you today, but the next tip number 4 to get paid by brands in 2025 is to start building your media kit. Once you start creating that amazing content that we've talked about, you've started to build your audience, you know some of your demographics, you are going to build a media kit. I do my media kits in Canva. This is not sponsored by Canva, but I've been using Canva for like, oh my gosh, probably 15 years. Has it been around that long? I have been using Canva, I swear, since it actually was like a thing. Love Canva. It is so great. I use it for my YouTube thumbnails. I often use it for my IG reel covers, for my media kits, for my insights and metric PDFs that I send to brands. And if any of this sounds confusing, I get super clear on all of this in my content course. And my next and final tip, with hopefully without overwhelming you, to work with brands in 2025 and get paid is to understand your value and pricing. This is really tricky and is going to take some trial and error, but you need to know that you do have value. Even if you have 100 followers, 500 followers, 1,000 followers, you are offering value by creating high quality content. There are people, UGC creators, user generated content creators, who are making thousands of dollars a month by creating content for brands. They don't even post the content, but they post high quality content that the brands want to use, so the brands will pay them for that content. That's why I want you to know that you don't just have to have an audience of 100,000 people to make money in this space. It is really possible for so many people if you take the time to learn how to shoot high quality content, how to value that content, and what brands are willing to pay for that content. Basically, if you want to know exactly what you should be charging, what brand usage means, and how you can make thousands of dollars more per partnership from brand usage and whitelisting, how much creators like me are making, and so much more, including how to go viral. It is all in my content course. So I briefly mentioned my course. I have a content course that's basically all about not just how to be an influencer, but how to make money from your content. The reason that I created this course is because I had so many people asking me, how do you do what you do? What do you charge? I want to live the life you're living. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I vowed to myself that I would help people do what I do if I ever figured it out, and I really feel like I figured it out. So I created my course, and because you're here today, I do have an exclusive code that is only available for YouTube subscribers. So you get a huge discount on my content creation course. So this discount is only available for YouTube subscribers. So make sure you hit subscribe and then use the code YouTube at checkout. I will link it below. It'll be the first thing in the description box. I hope this video was helpful, and if you really want to dive into this world world in 2025, you want to know all the things that you need to know, make sure you check out the course. It honestly is, it is everything that I wish I would have known when I got started, because I would have went from making, you know, $200 a post to thousands of dollars a post way faster, because the brands aren't going to tell you. If you say, hey, my rate is $500 and they were willing to pay you $5,000, they're not going to say, oh, we're going to pay you $5,000. They'll just say, yeah, for sure, $500 is great. In fact, one of my students had been charging brands $100 for brand usage. From my course, she learned that she should be charging $1,000 for brand usage per partnership. So she has now made thousands of dollars more per month just from learning what she should be charging from brand usage. So I don't want to overwhelm you. I don't want to confuse you. There's so much to learn, to know. I hope this was helpful to help get you started. Maybe you're not ready to take the course yet, and that is totally okay. But if you are, make sure you hit subscribe and use that code YouTube at checkout. I will see you in the course, and I will see you next week for another video. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and that's it. Let me know if you have questions below.